this is the story how I left the traditional legal world behind to create my own dream life, and why I also believe it's worth collecting experience before breaking up with the traditional 9 to 5 job. Hello, entrepreneurs. Today I want to talk about the question why I quit my 9 to 5 corporate to create my own job profile. I guess many of us know that feeling of that you're currently pursuing the path you are not really meant to pursue, or you just have a job where you know that can't be it, right? For me, it was like that. For years, I worked as a corporate lawyer at prestigious international law firms, having big cases. I worked in the legal department of a stock listed company, had a great salary and benefits, and the possibility to maybe quickly climb the corporate ladder, having my own projects, even bringing my first clients to the law firm. But I always knew, even when I studied law, that I don't want to pursue the traditional route, the traditional way of how it's supposed to be for a law student. I always knew I want to have a business focus, not the pure law focus. And I knew I want to be my own boss. I want to create my own job. I want the freedom, the independence, the flexibility. So, this is the story how I left the traditional legal world behind to create my own dream life, and why I also believe it's worth collecting experience before breaking up with the traditional 9 to 5 job. So, let me share a little bit of background how I came to this point. I am originally from Germany, from maybe the most beautiful town in Germany, which is called Freiburg im Breisgau. It's where Black Forest is. Maybe you know the Black Forest cake or Black Forest ham. So that is the region where I am from. And I have studied law in Freiburg. I did my PhD thesis on a very boring sounding insurance topic, but I found it super interesting because I chose this topic specifically to already have a more practical approach to my PhD thesis, to maybe have the opportunity to network through the topic, which was great. And I already worked in the legal department of a big company during this time. Then I did my 2 years of legal traineeship at different law firms, at the court, and already in Switzerland. Because at that time, my husband, my now husband, was already working in Switzerland, and we were moving close to the border. Was still in Germany, but very close to Switzerland. So he had a shorter commute to Switzerland, and he always wanted to move to Switzerland. And I thought, like, maybe that was not the best study to choose because it's not international law, it's German law that I studied. But I immediately found a job when I was searching for like really my dream job, which was at a international law firm that focused on cross-border consulting, especially for startups. And I really wanted to do startup consulting, so I thought, hey, that's great. So let's move to Switzerland. So immediately after I did my like attorney license, we moved to Switzerland together, and I'm so happy that we did that because we both really love Switzerland. It's great. It's just the most amazing country for us to live in. We are still not that far away from our home. It's like 3.5 hours to go home. But okay, so that's enough of the private background. So I worked at that law firm, and I changed in between to a more corporate job at a legal department. And I also changed the industry because before it was more finance focused, with a little bit of a health aspect and also a little bit of insurance still. But then I immediately changed to fully life science, and that was also a very interesting way to pursue. Of course, the salary is very nice in life science, and yeah, it was a great company. But if you know a little bit about the life science industry, didn't receive the market approval for the European market in this place, and we were preparing the European launch. So we all knew when that happened, now it's maybe time to look around for something new because this company or this job will probably not exist in the next year. So I thought, what do I do now? And I always had in the back of my mind, I want to be self-employed, but yeah, everybody is telling you you have to gain as much experience as you can before you become self-employed. And I think partially that's true. I think the all the experience that I gained is very valuable and extremely helpful to start my own business. But still, I think it's never the right time to start because you never feel prepared. So I thought, just do it. Just try. What do you have to lose? And I think I read or I heard the sentence, what's the worst case scenario that can happen to you? And that is going back to corporate, going back to a 9 to 5 job. So you are currently living and working in your worst case scenario. And that was quite a strong sentence. Um, Quite an intense feeling, right? Um, so the other thing that was always in the back of my mind is that I am a big fan of yoga, of natural medicine. So at the side, or as a yeah, not really as a side job, but more as like a side education, as an additional education, I studied yoga. I became a yoga teacher. I did the yoga teacher training. I also became a certified herbalist. That was a training that took me all in all, I think, around 2 years. So I thought, how can I connect that? Because it has basically nothing to do with each other, right? So I want to connect that. And everybody was telling me that's not very professional to trying to mix yoga and law and herbs and this natural approach together. But I always thought, like, I think it has so many similarities because my approach to law was always prevention is the best protection. Because the typical lawyer, the worst thing happens or the damage is done, then that's the time that you really do need a lawyer. But I always thought it would be way smarter to approach law like this, that you start as early as possible to minimize your risk. Of course, you cannot never be risk free, but to prevent the worst case scenario from happening. And that's the approach that I want to take. And that's the same approach that the herbalist is doing because he or she wants to strengthen the immune system so you don't get ill, for example, or yoga. Yoga is all about balance, it's about creating your foundation for life, to approach life in this way of detach from the ego, do selfless acts, detach from the fruit of your work, and also um, being of service is also a very yogic way of life. So I thought, I want to connect that all, but how? And it took me quite some time to connect the dots or really to create the vision and the services that I want to offer. Of course, it starts with dream client, who's my dream client, and what's the offer that I think is the most valuable for my dream client. And so I started from there, and this took me all in all, I think, maybe 8 months to really create the foundation to quit my 9 to 5 job and to start on my own, which is the current state. So I just quit. My contract is ending in a week. So my new business starts in, like, yeah, let's say 2 weeks. I will still start slow. And I'm connecting all of my passions in this way that I use yoga and health as a communication tool, but also as an add-on for my legal service. For example, I have a retainer offer, which is called the virtual legal department, where I'm able to offer um, yeah, let's say quite low priced legal service as a set price. That's also a big difference compared to law firms. And why can I offer this? Because it's a virtual legal department. I don't have big expenses. I don't need to rely on office space or anything. So I don't need to take as much money because that's not my, let's say, biggest goal. My biggest goal is really to have the best service possible for my clients and to connecting yoga, law, health, herbs, natural way of being. Like I said, the add-on of yoga would be for the virtual legal department, for example. That's a retainer service for, let's say, like 3 months. And if you continue with me for another 3 months, you, for example, get a bonus where you can choose to have a yoga session with me for your team, or we go together on a herbal walk if it's not an international company but maybe close by, or we can do something together that is more mind focused. Having a healthy business is not only about contracts and about the setup, it's also about the mindset and the stress level of a founder, because it's very super stressful to have all that responsibility. So that's almost, or maybe even more important, to have a healthy mindset to continue to grow your business and not only having all the theoretical points in your system. And of course, that maybe sounds easier as it was or as it is, because yeah, to be honest, I'm still very scared. I don't know how the next weeks or years will be, but I'm more excited about it. And I just want to go with the flow. I want to start slowly. I really want to build something new. I want to build something that can continue to grow slowly for, yeah, maybe until the end of my life, or I don't know, yeah, at least until the end of my career. But if you have a career that feels like a career where you don't need vacation from your job, then that's amazing. And that's also something that my partner and I were always talking about. We want to create our life as independent as possible, because we want to travel as much as possible. We want to become so-called digital slow nomads. So we want to live for several months at the places where we love, which in our case is definitely Japan, which is Yokohama, so the city next to Tokyo, where we want to maybe live for several months at a time or visit as much as possible while having this beautiful base here in Switzerland. And that's something that you cannot really do with most of the jobs. I mean, yeah, maybe you have a remote job, but still, to have an employer that's that flexible is quite hard. So it's a vision that we have for our life. So we thought, what's the life that we want to have, and what does the job need to be like in order to fit into that life. Yeah, so I think that was not a very structured video, but it was honest and from the heart. So maybe it inspires you to also create your own way. And of course, I'm very happy if you want to follow along, and if you are a founder yourself and you need legal support, then I'm happy to help you. You can go to my website that is linked in the description as well as in the channel description, and book your free legal consultation to discuss your vision. And if you are a lawyer yourself, I'm also happy if you want to follow my way and yeah, get inspired, or if you need advice, I am happy to talk to you, and see you in the next video.